to say the takbirs after the first one, to say Allahu Akbar when you move. These are called Sunnah Khafifa, small Sunnah.
To say Allahu Akbar when you move?
Yes.
And the tashahhud.
The tashahhud is called Sunnah Muakkadah. That's a big one. Don't worry. This part, I'm going to go over it so many times that inshallah, in a few weeks of this lesson, you're going to be scientists in your prayer. Inshallah. Yes. Okay? So, you know, but yes, you should be doing exactly that. Writing those principles. Because you're going to keep using these same principles over and over. This is how you're going to do. These are called the formula. You're going to be able to, when you're in your prayer and you're going to make a mistake, and then you're going to go in your mind, you're going to go, what mistake was that? Oh, that was a Sunnah Muakkadah. That was a major Sunnah. I could keep my prayer, but I would have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. You understand? This is a formula for fixing your prayer. You're going to be in your prayer. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to say, well, what mistake was that? What did I do? I think I added a sujood. Didn't intend to, but I added a sujood. What should I do? You're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams for adding. So this is the principle. This is the formula for your prayer. How you will know what you have to fix and how you have to fix it. Okay? Sujood Al-Sahw. You want to ask me? I'm listening. Yes.
Sujood Al-Sahw is just a sujood, or is it a special type of sujood?
Sujood Al-Sahw is the name of this subject, and it means the prostrations for forgetfulness. And forgetfulness in your prayer is what they're talking about. Sujood Al-Sahw is the way that you know how to fix your prayer. This Sujood Al-Sahw has two prostrations and sitting in between. Two prostrations and sitting in between. Sometimes Sujood Al-Sahw is made before you make salams, in the last sitting. And sometimes Sujood Al-Sahw is made after you make salams, in the last sitting. You make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams when you have added something to the prayer. Okay? You make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams when you have omitted or left something out of your prayer that is not a farid. And you also make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams when sometimes you will add something in your prayer and you will forget something in your prayer. So in those two cases, you're going to also make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. Okay? This is the formula. This is the formula. Allahumma salli wa salam wa barakallah sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. If you miss, if you leave a farid intentionally, your salah is cancelled. You may as well stop right there. You don't have no prayer. Tell me a farid. Say it again. The first takbir is farid. That's called takbiratu ihram. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you feeling, Amir?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. It's nice to see you. Okay. This is the right number for students in a class like this one. Now let me tell you something. If each of you learn this subject properly, and each of you go out and teach this same subject to your friends and other people, and multiply this information to those people, each one 13 times, we will have many Muslims that will become educated in Sujood Al-Sahw. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you many rewards. Because the thing that separates the Muslims from the infidel is this salah. This prayer is the difference between the Muslim people and the other people. You understand? No other prophet prayer to his people was like the salah we make. They had prayer, but not like the prayer we make 5 times a day. This is a distinction only for Muslims. So to know how to repair that prayer, that is the dividing line between the believer and the disbeliever, is very big in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. If you miss, what happens if you leave a fard intentionally? Absolutely. Get it clear. You can't go forward if you losing your fards. Okay? If you miss one major sunnah or more, you must make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. If you miss one major sunnah or more, what's a major sunnah? Yes, that's right. He said a tashahud, atayatul lillahi. When you say sitting in between on the second rak'ah with your finger like that, that's called a tashahud. That's a tashahud is called major sunnah or sunnah muakkadah. Okay? Big in your prayer to say it, but if you don't say it, if you forget it for some reason, it doesn't cancel your prayer immediately. See, you can make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams and keep that prayer. But let's say you don't do ruku. What's ruku?
Down.
Huh?
Forward.
Forward. Absolutely. You miss that, you can't keep your prayer unless you fix it. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. It's over here. Assalamu alaikum. You okay? Family's okay? Everything good? Father's okay? Oh, alhamdulillah. Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. Sometimes in this class I'll say something. I'll say like when I talk to somebody in the middle of the class or something, or if there's any type of interruption at all, I will come back, I will say Salatul Nabi. It means prayer for the Prophet. Assalamu alaikum, Yaya. When I say Salatul Nabi, we will say Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa salama taslimin kathira. Again, Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa salama taslimin kathira. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa salama taslimin kathira. This is called Salatul Nabi. It means prayers on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? And the reason we do that is because of all the things that a person can do to gain benefit for himself. One of the biggest things is to send salutations on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this thing that we're doing sitting here, this is the type of work that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did for the Muslim people, for the universe actually, for everyone. He did this type of teaching experience. And he say there's only 2 type of people that count. 2 type. The teacher and the student. So in his life, in his evaluation of life, being a teacher or student is what is absolutely necessary for the person to have wealth and value. You know, in this dunya, wealth and value is by your acquisition. It means what you own, what you're worth financially. That's how they judge wealth and value in this dunya. And al-Islam, that's not the way wealth and value is judged. Wealth and value in Islam is judged by your knowledge and your practice. Your knowledge and your practice. Just knowledge is not enough. You have to get the knowledge and then you have to put it into practice in your life. Assalamu alaikum, Hajj Ibrahim. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah. Nice to see you, Hajj Ibrahim.
Pleasure to see you, sir. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
I'm going to see you.
We talk later.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, Hajj Ibrahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Salat Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa salama tasliman kathira. Okay, so if you don't learn anything else from me and you learn about prayers on Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I would have felt a great accomplishment, because the hadith say when you send salutations on Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 10 of your sins will be removed. 10 rewards will be written for you. And when you will go 10 times closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Jannah for each saying of Salat Nabi, prayers on Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, I always suggest to the Muslim people that this is one of the things they should constantly put in their life, saying some salutations on Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some talk about that is like when he hears your salutation before you finish giving him salams, he sends salams to you. That Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knows each and every Muslim by name, and he knows you, you see, and that he in fact, when you giving him salutations, it's as if he comes and stands and walks with you and is holding your hand and going down the street with you and is sitting with you and like that. So the ulama asks a question. If you were going to do some bad thing, would you do it if you knew Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was watching you? Was he there with you, watching you? And of course, every Muslim is going to say, well, no, too bad in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know. So they say, well, this is a protection for you when you say Salat Nabi, some prayers from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That when you're doing that, it's as if he's with you. So when you get ready to do some negative activity and you say Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad, you stop the negative activity because you realize, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's standing next to me. So they have many Salat Nabis, many different types of ways of sending salutations on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The one that my teachers say to me is like in a group setting. When you say Salat Nabi, you say sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. Individually you say Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And then we have some other things that the people of Tasawwuf teach to the murids to say. It's called Salatul Fatih. But I can't teach that to you. This is not my job in this center. But Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad, and to say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin an-Nabiy al-Ummi wa azwaji ummahati al-mu'minin wa zurriyati wa ali bayt kama sallaita ala Ibrahim innaka Hamidul Majid. All of those type of dua, I can teach you about that to say for prayers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. So, an example of missing one major sunnah or more that you must make Sujood Al-Sahw before salam. The example, to recite the Quran after Al-Fatiha. The takbirs of Eid, 6 in the first rakah and 5 in the second rakah. These are also considered as Sunnah Muakkadah or major Sunnah. To say the Tashahhud and to sit to say it is all considered as Sunnah Muakkadah, major Sunnah. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. I'm going too fast, Umar.
So what was the one after Surah, after Fatiha?
After, to say, to recite the Quran after Al-Fatiha.
And what was the second?
Takbir Eid. It means the 6 takbirs in the first rak'ah of Eid and the 5 takbirs in the second rak'ah of Eid. Okay? Yes?
So does that, the surah after Fatiha, does that also go for the nafil prayers?
No. Listen to me. Sujood Al-Sahw, if you're making a nafil and you just want to practice, and you made a mistake and you just want to practice it, you can do it, but it's not for nafils. Sujood Al-Sahw is for your 5 daily prayers. This what we call the Subh prayer, some people call it Fajr. The Zohr prayer, the Asr prayer, the Maghrib prayer, and the Isha prayer. That's what Sujood Al-Sahw is for. Because if you don't do these prayers, you owe these prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some hadith say, one of the first things that a person is going to be questioned about is his prayers. You understand? So you want your prayers to be intact when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't want to go before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with shaky prayers, because some hadiths say that some people will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with shaky prayers, and when they try to prostrate in front of Allah, when they try to make their prayer in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're going to fall on their face. They're going to fall on their face. They're not even going to have the ability to make their prayer in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they were careless with their prayer in this world. So, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. What I need you to understand that this particular methodology is what is going to help you to save your prayers. Because whatever prayers you don't make, the hadith say, the book of Figh say, you're going to owe these prayers until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The value of the prayer don't get less. When you miss it, it gets more. And the more you stay away from making it up, the bigger the sin is. So it don't go away. You understand me? Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barakatuh. Don't, people, look, there's no abbreviated Islam. You can't abbreviate Islam. You can't come into Islam and think that you're going to do your way. You have to do the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is why he came to teach us the Sunnahs, the things, to teach us all the things we needed to do to be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The difference between our Islam and everything else is that we know exactly from the coming of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam all of our requirements before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't just say, you have to do this. He showed us how it has to be done. This is the difference between Muslims and other people. You see? If you ask the Christians, how did Jesus alayhi salam pray? They can't tell you. They can't tell you. If you ask them, how did Musa alayhi salam pray? They can't tell you. The Jews can't tell you. They know some words that they say from the Torah, but they don't even know if they're exactly accurate because it's been interpolluted. Wait. The Muslims don't have those problems. Our only problem is to put into practice what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left for us. And if we do that, we're going to be successful. Allah promised us. See? Yes.
So my question is, do you have to do another surah in the nafil prayer? Or do you just do a Fatiha?
Oh, the nafil, yes. Well, the nafil prayers are they're like practice, like the warm up. They're a sunnah, but they're Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barakatuh. This is a little bit off my subject, but I have to answer you because I can't let you go away and not have the right answer. Inshallah. When you make your nafil prayers, they also were made in a certain method that the Muslims learned from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The nafil prayers require that you, depending on which nafil prayer it is, that you make it in a certain way. You should make you should have the niyyah for nafil. You should make the takbir, the first one. You should recite Al-Fatiha in the first rakat, and you should recite something from the Quran behind Al-Fatiha. This is nafil prayer. In the Madhab of Imam Malik, in the morning time, the first nafil prayer you make in the morning, which is called Ragiba, you make it just before you make the Fard prayer in the morning. This Ragiba, according to the Madhab Imam Malik, only has Al-Fatiha, and it's done quickly. This is called Ragiba. But all of the other ones, you should make Al-Fatiha and some Quran after Al-Fatiha. Okay? But let's say that you didn't do that for whatever reason. What happens?
Goes up.
Say it again?
It's gone forever. It's going up.
Yeah, it's not such a big deal because, you know, these are voluntary prayers. You understand? The nafil is voluntary. If you don't make it, you know, you may lose something that could help you later, but Allah, He's not gonna like get down on you because you missed the nafil. He's gonna get down on you if you missed the fard. You following me? So the saying of the nafil is that when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some people will have been, you know, missed something in their fard prayers here and there, missed a prayer, forgot they didn't do it, or whatever the problem is, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His mercy, He's gonna look to help us. So He'll look and He'll see, try to find something He can replace that with. If you've been accurate with your nafils, He can take some of your nafils and replace the fard, if He so choose. Not must do it, He may do it. See, if he likes other things that you've done, and he wants to give you the benefit to come with Him and be close with Him and be with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the other Muslims in Jannah, you know, Allah in His mercy, He can look and He can find something that He can replace a problem that you've had with something else. Well, the nafils are like that. They're the things that one of the things that He will look to replace some other problem with. Now, if you don't have no nafils, you don't have nothing to use. So this is why, you know, we hope that, you know, we will make our nafils and try to let them be expiation for us for some other problem, inshallah. Okay? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barakatuh. Yes.
So you mentioned that saying the takbirs of the Eid prayer is Muakkadah.
Yes.
And the Eid is a nafil, but it's a nafil that we make in congregation.
Yes.
So if you miss one of these, should you do Sujood Al-Sahw to make up for it?
Yes. But only the Imam. You know, it's like this lesson is basically for the single person and the Imam person, basically. Because they will be the people who will lead the other people in prayer, and they will have to know this information. If you're single, you should know this information because you have to make your own prayer, and you have your family, and you may have to lead them, and these type of things, you know. So, but yes, that's right. Wait. You can have a chair, you know. It's easy. Or you feel better like that. Okay, I understand. Okay, Allahumma salli wa sallam. You wanted something?
Yeah. So based on the question that he asked, so that's for individuals. Like, so like if you miss the Eid and then you come.
Okay. Let's not go on that subject because it's gonna take away from this lesson. That Eid is something totally different. It had nothing to do with Sujood Al-Sahw. They're only talking about the value of the takbirs, the 6 in the first rak'ah and the 5 in the second rak'ah. That they are also considered as Sunnah Muakkadah, means a major Sunnah. So in the Eid prayer, these takbirs, if you miss them, then you should make Sujood Al-Sahw. If you miss some of them, or one of them, or two of them, whatever it is, you should make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams as a Sunnah Muakkadah. But it's not gonna happen to you unless you try to make Eid as the Imam and you don't know what you're doing, and then you're gonna, So my advice to you is to do what most Muslims do: go to the big masjids to make Eid, where they can hold all the people, pray behind the Imam, and in 40 something years, I've never seen the need to make Sujood Al-Sahw, in the Eid prayer, because of missing a takbirs or anything like that. So, but they, in the books of Figh, they give you all the information, even though you may never come to use it. But you have to get the information that's in the books of Figh. You understand me? So this is like, don't waste your time too much on something that you probably will never come in contact with it in your life. All over the world, I've gone and seen people make Eid, and this has never been a problem. I have never even heard of this happening anytime, anywhere. But in the books of Fiqh, they give you this information because they have to give it. You see, it's a part of the lesson. Anyway. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. If you miss 2 minor sunnah, what's a minor sunnah? And?
The takbirs after the takbir.
Absolutely. If you miss 2 minor sunnah or more, you must make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. An example: all takbir after the first one, saying Sami Allahu liman hamida when raising from ruku. Okay? So if you miss 2 of those, they equal up as if it was 1 sunnah Muakkadah. So you must make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. Let's say you just say you was making your prayer, and when you was going into ruku, you didn't say Allahu Akbar, and then you kept going to your prayer. Would you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams? Why? Because there's only 1. So these are the things of the formula. So I'm purposely doing it over and over again to implant the formula in your mind. Because this formula, once you know it, it makes the whole subject come into play for you easily. But if you don't understand the formula and you try to figure out what should you do, you're probably going to come up with the wrong conclusion. You need the formula to be able to really figure this stuff out quickly. Because remember now, you're in your prayer. Right, y'all? You're in your prayer, right? And you made a mistake. So the first thing that happens when a person makes a mistake in prayer, the shaitan, a'udhu billahi, he comes to them and he starts trying to confuse you in your mind, telling you, oh, you did this, you did that, you did this, you didn't do that. He's trying to confuse you, see? So only the people who know exactly what to do in their prayer, how to fix it, they won't get confused. They'll laugh at him and say, I missed the Sunnah Muakkadah, I know what I got to do. And then they go forward. See? He hates that. He hates that. He likes to be able to confuse the people in their prayer, and so the people get into the habit of saying, well, I don't know exactly what I should do. I'm just going to go forward. They may miss something that they will make them lose their prayer, but they don't know. Or they will say, I'm going to just cut my prayer and start over again. And then when they cut their prayer, they're going to start over again. They may say, oh, I got to go and check the parking meter. You understand? And then, then they say, oh, I'm going to get back to that prayer. And they may not get back to it right away. Or they may not ever get back to it. So he likes this type of confusion in your prayer. So the people that he can't really get into like that are the people who understand how to fix their prayer. Yes?
So if you miss any of the minor sunnah in the Fard, then you make the Sujood Al-Sahw.
Say that again?
If you miss any of the minor sunnah.
2 minor sunnahs or more, you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. You got it, right? I can tell. You getting it. Yes.
And if you forget to you forget to say Allahu Akbar, which is one, after the ruku, you don't have to make sujood al-sahw.
No, because it's only one.
It's only one.
The rule is it have to be 2 minor sunnahs or more.
I'm just trying to make sure.
Okay? Don't y'all get on Abdul Adu's nerves. Because he's trying to go forward. Yes, yes.
So it would be the same thing as if you added 2 minor sunnahs, right?
No, if you add, you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw after
But
salams.
it's the same thing. It wouldn't be just 1 minor sunnah. It would be
It
2.
has to be 2.
Oh, I understand the question. That's a good question. Well, it don't have to be. You know, it depends. You know, okay, something like that is considered as small. Even if you didn't make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams, it wouldn't invalidate your prayer. It's not enough. It's not enough. See? But if you made like, if you made like a lot of extra like takbirs, you know, if you say like Sami Allahu liman hamida like 3 times or something in a rakat, you know, or this is too much. Not only it would Sujood Al-Sahw wouldn't even fix that. It would be too much that you've added into the prayer, and the prayer itself would become invalid. You got what I said?
Yes.
Imam Shafi rahmatu alayhi. You heard of Imam Shafi?
Yes.
Imam Shafi rahmatu alayhi, the great learned man. He used to say that anything that you do more than 3 times, 3 times or more in your prayer that doesn't belong in the prayer would invalidate the prayer. So when the ulama explained that to me, they did like this. They say, you're in your prayer and you go, does this belong in the prayer?
No.
1. Then you go, does this belong in the prayer? 2. Then you go, does that belong in the prayer? 3. So they say when you do these things, anything 3 times or more than 3 times, the prayer becomes invalid.
That's Imam Shafi.
Imam Shafi rahmatu alayhi. So any type of movements, anything like that that you do more than 3 times, according to the Imam, I'm coming Abdul Adu, this is considered as too much for the prayer. So now, you thinking about what I'm saying, and you thinking about all these people who they standing up for prayer, and they're doing like this, they doing like that, they doing like this, and they do all kinds of stuff, and they shift it, and they do all this stuff, and then they you know, don't consider it as movement. It's too much movement in the prayer. And so I remember praying here, and somebody was leading the prayer, and he used to do that type of movements all the time, a lot of things. And then some of the Muslims, because you know this masjid has a lot of educated people in it. Some of the Muslims came to him and say, listen, it's too much movement in the prayer. You're invalidating our prayers. And when they brought it to his attention, and he thought about it, he's like, oh, unconsciously I was doing those things, but he corrected himself. I'm coming Abdul Adu first. He said he corrected himself, and they became pleased with him again. Okay, Abdul Adu.
So, being that Imam Shafi has this opinion, do we also follow his opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Imam Shafi, rahmatu alayhi, was the student of Imam Malik. And this madhab is the madhab of Imam Malik. So, many times his information from this madhab Imam Shafi is in agreement with Imam Malik. Yes, yes.
You know, sometimes brothers tend to like rock.
They do what?
Like tend to like, you know, like rock.
Oh, that's not considered as bad.
Okay.
You know, it's better. Okay, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barakallahu. When I teach you, I have to teach you what they taught me, or I'm being amiss in my duty. See, they gave me some scenario of some Sahaba that used to make their prayers, long prayers at nighttime or in the daytime, long prayers. And so they say that the Sahaba would stand to make their prayers so still that you would think they were a tree. And to emphasize that, they say a bird came, landed on his head or shoulder, made a nest. The little chickies, he had his eggs. The little chickies came out of the egg, and after some time flew away. Then he walked away from the prayer. So that's to say that their concentration in their prayer is so strong that they're like what's called an inanimate object. You know, inanimate means things that don't move. See, so this is how all of these Sahaba were considered as, they were considered as like the examples for us. You know, we can't be exactly do like them, but we have some idea on, you know, what is the ideal. See, so we always trying to accomplish the ideal by, we look at them, they're like the stars in the sky that help us to find our direction. So yes, this movement, when a person is like, he does like this, if he can, he should try to be still. But if he's doing it unconsciously, you know, it's not, that movement is not considered as too bad, because it's sort of like a natural movement of the body. But if he was doing like this, that's different. See, that's different. So, you know, you can also say to him after the prayer something kind of, you know, moving a lot. And then, you know, if he's trying to be a good person and he wants to do what's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will say to you, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to keep my mind more. Because, you know, what happens is when they're reciting Quran, they're reciting like, they're memorizing, they're coming from their memory many times, long pieces of Quran. And so, you know, in the process of doing that, they forget the body, their mind is going. And so, you know, they're not intentionally trying to do anything wrong, but, you know, it's like they're keeping a rhythm in their mind and their body, and they're moving like that. So Islam kind of forgives that, see? But it's better if they're still. Okay? Yes.
I have a question. What about if you're in the middle of reciting and you burn? Does that invalidate anything? Or do you have
No.
to start over?
Doesn't invalidate anything. You just, what you have to do is cover your mouth. Assalamu alaikum. That you have to cover your mouth, and as if, and when you sneeze, also you have to cover your mouth. Okay? You can say after the sneeze in the prayer, you can say Alhamdulillah, but you can't say you can't say Yahamakallah. Yahamakallah will cancel your prayer. Don't say Yahamakallah. You can, the person sneeze, he can say Alhamdulillah, softly, quietly to himself. Okay? But covering your mouth is a necessity. Doesn't lose your prayer. Yes, Abdul.
Which hand do you, the left? Which hand do you cover with?
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Let me see if I remember. If you're standing, the left hand is the primary one to cover with. But they have a different saying that if you're standing and you sneeze, you can do the right hand. But all the postures that come after standing, you should do the left hand.
Even sujood.
Yeah. Say it again.
Even in sujood.
Say it again.
Even in sujood.
Yeah, even sujood. Because you should cover your mouth. Listen to me. If you sneeze, sometimes what you sneeze goes everywhere. So if you sneeze and you in sujood, it's going to go all over the rug. You want to protect the rug from that, because you're going to, next thing you're going to make, somebody else is going to make sujood there, or you're going to make sujood there, and you're going to put your head where this guy's just finished sneezing. So you want to, you have to be, protect the Muslims and yourself. See? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. So again, everything that the Muslims do, we do because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to tell us every detail of our religion. Religion is not guesswork. this religion is following the example of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Totally different from any other religion, any other people, any other thing in this world. See? All you have to do is learn and practice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees you success. Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina. Now, when you don't know which rak'ah you're in, this is a question. What happens? What do you do? You are making the Zohar prayer. This is an example. You are making the Zohar prayer, but you will make Asr after it. Sometimes you will delay a Zohar prayer until it's almost time for Asr. And sometimes you will do the Asr prayer right after the Zohar prayer. You will make the Zohar, right? And then you will make salams. Then you're going to stand up and make Asr, right? Well, what happens sometimes when you do that is that you forget exactly where you are. You forget, am I in the first of Dhuhr? The first of Asr or the last of Dhuhr? Or you sometimes forget because, it just happens. This is something that just happens, So, say you're making Zohar, but you will make Asr after it. When you are in the last rak'ah of Zohar, you forget whether this is the last of Zohar or the first of Asr. You should consider yourself in the last rak'ah of Zohar. Because we are sure, if we consider ourselves in the last rak'ah of Dhuhr, that we have made at least 4 rak'ah, and then Dhuhr would be made. So the advice of the fuqaha, this is what they call the people of fiqh. They call them the fuqaha, the learned. They call them the fuqaha. The advice of the fuqaha is to always take less and add to it. Don't assume more, because your assumption may be wrong. You may be owing something because you were too lazy to take less and add more, add to it. You understand? Do you really understand what I'm saying? Okay, because if you have any doubt, it's better to ask me, because this subject is like really important. You don't want to be like making your prayer and say, do I have 4 rak'ah for Dhuhr, and then say to yourself, yeah, I got 4 rak'ah. And then and then a little while later, I'm gonna come back, and then a little while later you go, I don't think I had 4 rak'ah of Dhuhr. You see what I'm saying? So it's better in the prayer to learn this formula. The format is say I have less, and then go from there. Because when you say you have less, you're going to know exactly that you have added enough to make you have exactly what you need or more. So if you have a little bit more, it's okay. But if you have less, it's not okay. Why? Because 1 rakat less would make you miss what? Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
I answered it?
Yes.
Yes. Alaikum salam to
In the
that.
case where after you're gonna make the Dhuhr, you're gonna make Asr, should you call the 2 accomplices?
Okay, they have different opinions about that. The general opinion is that each one should have its own akama. That's the general opinion. But that's not the opinion of the madhabs. The madhab is that you can make, let's say you owe more prayers, you can make like 5 prayers on 1 akama, one behind the other one, prayers you owe. Or some imams, when they're going to make Zohar and Asr, they don't make a different akama for the Asr. They make the akama and then they tell the congregation, Qama Dhuhr wal Asr, that they say to you that they're going to join both the prayers, so you know that after he goes Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, then they will say Allahumma salli wa salam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad, they would stand up and say Allahu Akbar. Now they're making us a prayer. But the general opinion, I think also they do it because they want to keep the people in the same, all on the same line, you know, like unified. So they will make another aqama so that there's no question, this is what we're doing now. Yes. As you like. That's enough? Yes.
So, in the opinion of Imam Malik, if you miss 2 prayers or 3 prayers, you can just make one Akama, and that'll suffice.
Absolutely. When you're making up the prayers, you don't have to make a new Akama for each one.
So one is good.
One.
Only if you owe.
Yeah, if you owe the prayers. Yeah. Yes. Well, you have to be owing the prayers because if it's 3, you couldn't be. You could. 3 pairs are not going to come in at the same time.
Right.
So you have to be owing. Yes.
It was like in reference to that, so if you don't owe any prayers, but you're about to, make your prayer, do you see that comment every time, like for your 5 major prayers?
Allahumma salli wa salam wa barak ala Muhammad. Yes, it's better to say your comment. Okay? Yes, Suleiman. I'll come to you next.
When you make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams, you have to make it after the last tashahhud at a certain time.
Okay, let me teach you that now. That's a good question. Because I don't want you to walk away and not know how you make it when you have to make it before and how you make it when you have to make it after. That's a great question. Okay. When you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams, you're sitting in the last sitting in your prayer. And you're making what's called a tashahhud. When you come to just before you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah in your tashahhud, just before you say that, you're going to stop. You're going to make an intention in your mind to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. You're going to make one prostration, you say Allahu Akbar, you make a prostration, Allahu Akbar, you sit in between. Allahu Akbar, you make a prostration, Allahu Akbar, you sit down. Then you're going to say a tashahhud all the way through until you say like you normally would in your prayer. You understand what I said? Like you normally would in your prayer. Wait. Then you say your salams and your prayer is done. Okay, that's how you do it before salams. Again, I'm coming to you. Again. When you're sitting in the last sitting, you getting this, Abdul?
No.
Okay. When you're sitting in the last sitting, right? And you're making a tashahhud, knowing that you have to make. Did I come to you? Okay. And knowing that that you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams, and you're saying Atahiyatul Lillahi, and then you get to just before you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, you stop. And you make an intention, the niyyah in your mind. I have to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. Allahu Akbar. You make the sujood. Allahu Akbar. You sit in between. Allahu Akbar. You make sujood. Allahu Akbar. You sit down for your last sitting and you start a tashahhud again. When you say a tashahhud this time, you go all the way through the end like you normally would in your prayer. You add everything that you normally would say when you in your prayer, and you make your salams, and the prayer is done. You have made Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. Okay? Now, let me answer his question first before I do. Oh, okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Now, yes, Yahya.
Okay, my question is, because it came up before. If you're with, let's say, you're the Imam, and this happens, do you have to say the salams? Is it different? Like, remember you said that, okay, if you following you say quietly salam to the Imam. But now I'm saying, let's say I'm the Imam myself. Is one salam the same as the other from both sides? When you do that,
I don't understand the
in
question.
other words, do you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, or do you say Assalamu alaikum when you do that for the sujood sound?
He
You
means
understand the
Sujood
question?
Al-Sahw after salams. In other words,
Sujood Al-Sahw before salams,
Before salams, yes.
and when you say the two sujoods,
Yeah,
and then you sit down for your last sitting.
I'm talking about here. When you make the last two, do you say Assalamu?
I'm not understanding the question.
I think
When you say when you say the last two sujoods,
Yes.
that's making sujood al-sahw. When you making sujood al-sahw, is that what you're saying?
No, after the sujood sound.
When you after there's no next two after sujood al-sahw when you're making it before salams.
The salams. He's talking about
I'm talking about
The two salams.
You mean the salam that you end the prayer with?
Listen. In the madhab of Imam Malik, this is off the subject. In the madhab of Imam Malik, there is no, the Imam doesn't make Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. The Imam doesn't do that in the madhab of Imam Malik. In the madhab of Imam Malik, he does like this. Assalamu alaikum. That's how he ends his prayer. Okay. Because most of the people don't have any idea about that. It would make confusion for you to do that method in the eyesight of the people who don't have any knowledge of that. So we say, just do what the people do when it comes to giving salams. You say, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. So not to make confusion, you understand? The thing that we will not afford is the confusion of trying to apply something that doesn't fit with the people. The people don't know about that. So why would you do it? And then everybody's going to jump at you and go, hey, you only made one salams. You forgot to make the other salams. So we won't add to that confusion because the Imam say, you have the right. You can also say, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Why? Because they know that everybody's not going to know about that. So they give you permission to do what is readily acceptable with the people. But what they don't want you to do is say, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. That don't belong there. Barakatuh don't belong there. To say Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, that's fine. You can do that and still maintain your posture as a practitioner of the madhab of Imam Malik, because they accept that too. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it's not to make confusion. But let's say I'm praying in a place where there's only people who know about the madhab. Like when sometimes in the tariqas, you go to a masjid and you can tell by the way they make a zan and a comma that they're following the madhab of Imam Malik. So you of course, if you have knowledge about that, then you will anticipate that the Imam is going to say, Assalamu alaikum, when he end the prayer. We know why he's doing it, because he's following that system, and it's no problem. But to do that, like in Masjid Taqwa, they're going to look at you like you crazy, because nobody understands that method. You understand what I'm saying? So this is an important part of knowledge. You got to know when to apply what you know and how to apply it. You can't just go, what they got a word they say, you can't just be all willy-nilly with it. You can't just do it all kinds of, any kind of way. You got to think about what you're doing. Does it fit here or not? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Did I answer you?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Do you want to go through how to make sujood
After I'm going to do that now. Okay. Now, to make sujood al-sahw after salams, when you make, when you end your prayer, like when you know your normal prayer, when you end it, you're going to do all the things that you normally do when you end your prayer, right? Then you're going to say, Assalamu alaikum. If you're doing it with people that don't know, you're going to do Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. It's okay. Then you're going to sit. You're going to have in your mind the niyyah to make sujood al-sahw after salams. You're going to make the 2 prostrations and the sitting in between. And then you're going to say a tashahhud all the way till the end when you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. And then you're going to give salam. That's the end of that prayer. Say it again.
Yes.
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Salatul Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa salama tasliman kathira. Concentrate now. When you come to the end of your prayer, you're going to do your prayer ending like you normally do it. Right? When you finish doing it, you're going to make your normal salam. And then you're going to say in your mind the intention to make Sujood Al-Sahw for something that you added to the prayer. So you're making it after salams. You've already given the salams. This is why they call it after salams. You've given the salams. You're making the niyyah. Right? You're making the niyyah to make Sujood Al-Sahw for what you have added to the prayer. You're going to do the 2 prostrations. Right? And the sitting in between. And then you're going to say a tashahhud until you get to Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. You're going to say that, and then you're going to say Assalamu alaikum or Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, whatever the situation is at that time. If all the people are used to ending the prayer with Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, it's fine. You can end your prayer like that, and it's absolutely proper. If you're with the people and they all know about ending the prayer with the 1 salams as Imam Malik Madhab, and they will say Assalamu alaikum, you can do that, and it's fine. Your prayer is 100% valid. Okay? That's how you make it after salams. Should I do it again?
Yes.
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. When you finish, when you make the end of your prayer, you're sitting in the last of the sitting for your prayer. Like you normally do. You're going to say a tashahhud. You're going to say what's called, sometimes you say, your prayers may have something slightly different than mine. You will say Dua Ibrahima. And then you will say something for yourself and the Muslims, a dua that comes after that. Okay. We do a little different. We say a tashahhud, then we say a Salatul Nabi. That also includes the dua for Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam. And then we will say some dua for ourselves and for the Muslims. You need me, Sheikh Hajj Ibrahim?
Yes, sir. I'm not supposed to take that. So later we're going to
Pass me that. Alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa salama tasliman kathira. It was salama tasliman kathira is that we send many peace and blessings on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Now, I was talking about Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. You sit as you normally sit. You end your prayer as you normally do. And then you make salam. But you don't get up after that. Right after you make the salam, you're going to make the niyyah for making Sujood Al-Sahw after salam for adding something to the prayer. Then you're going to do the 2 sujoods and the sitting in between. Then you're going to do your last sitting. You're going to make a tashahhud. You're going to start at atayatu. You're going to end that Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, and then you're going to make salams. This is how you make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. Okay? Everybody understand? Yes.
Alright, so I just wanted to be clear, right? So
absolutely, that's the right thing to do.
So even if like adding something would be like, even if it was like anything like that.
Well, if you only do that once or twice, it doesn't require Sujood Al-Sahw.
I mean, like 3 times, that's referred as adding.
If you're doing that like 3 times or more, you know, it's kind of. It's not exactly that big. See, unless you do it as a habit all the time. If like, you know, you kind of like unconsciously did it and don't think about it at the time, don't worry about that. It has to be, I'm coming. You want to leave?
No.
Oh, I'm coming to you next. It has to be something that, you're in a habit of doing it, and you add, it's like you're making it a part of your prayer because you do it all the time when you're praying. You'll see now that I mentioned it to you, you're going to see some people, every time they pray, they do it. Every time. No, really. I'm not here to be a practical joker for you. What I'm telling you is facts. Okay? So those people, they are considered as adding to their prayer things that it don't belong there. And if they do it all the time, it becomes a habit. So, there has to be some kind of stop there. It has to be, you have to put a stop to that. So one of the things that Imam Shafi says, if you do that as your habit, you're adding to the prayer, your prayers become invalid. So you have to make you concentrate on your prayers and to stop doing that action. But just like we don't make it like really. Don't make it so big that you have to think in your mind every time you're praying. Oh, how many times did I move? Did I touch my hat? Did I? You understand what I'm saying? Don't do that to yourself. But be conscious and aware of how much movement you have in your prayer, so that if you see that you're doing more than is necessary, that don't belong in the prayer, you learn to curtail it, to stop doing it, to keep your prayer safe.
And
I'm coming to you.
So it's 2 prostrations after and 4 before?
No. Sujood Al-Sahw always have 2 prostrations and the sitting in between. Either before
So before or after?
or
it's
after.
Just 2 prostrations.
Always 2 prostrations. Yes. Alaikum salam.
For the individual who experiences pain during the course of the salah or the position that he's in, if he do things to adjust his body that he don't feel the pain as severely, then that wouldn't count as...
Don't worry about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only make you responsible for what you can say it again? Yes! Absolutely. He only make you responsible for what you have the control over it. See? If it's some type of injury, some type of sickness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever, even if you can't do your prayer in a normal way, you have to sit down or lay down or whatever it is, He's going to accept the prayer from you. So don't even think about that twice. Don't put that out your mind. If you have to move because you're pain in someplace or something is making it more easier for you to try to get your prayer in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to reward you for that, just for making your prayer under those conditions anyway. Listen. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. Don't worry, I'm going to go with you and listen to the thing. So, once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came to the masjid and he found all the Sahaba in circles complaining. They were kind of like, man, it's cold outside. I wish I didn't have to come out this morning. Kind of like talking like that. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, he said, well, tomorrow you don't have to come. So they were like, really? We don't have to come? You mean we can stay in our beds and stay by the fire? And he said, Prophet said, do what you like. So the next morning, he came into the mosque, and before they was leaving, they was all saying, yeah, I'm gonna stay in the bed close to my wife and stay warm. I'm gonna stay near the fire, and, put an extra cover. It's all this best, right? So Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. The next morning, Prophet ﷺ came into the mosque. Who did he find there? All the Sahaba. So he said to them, well, what happened? I thought you were all going to stay home and stay in the bed with your wife and near the fire and everything. So one of the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, I tried that. He said, but the bed, when I was sleeping on the bed, the bed started feeling like I was sleeping on a bed of fire. So I jumped up and ran to the mosque. The other Sahaba said, You know, the same thing happened to me. So the Prophet ﷺ started laughing. He started laughing. So he said to them, well, you know, I was never worried for you. Because, you know, your faith would not allow you to abandon your practice. See? So what I'm saying is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's judging you by your faith and your practice. So if there's some type of problem that doesn't allow your practice to be just like the same look as the other practice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. But He's going to look past that. He's going to look at your faith. Because for you to try and do it under those conditions, you have to gain more rewards than a person that don't have those problems that's doing it. You understand what I said? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He not only rewards for faith, for knowledge and actions, but He rewards for the difficulties to get things done that He requires. It's easy for a person, it's easy for a person to do good when there's no bad around him. But when you do good, when there's bad all around you, the reward have to be multiplied much more than a person who does good when there's nothing but good around him. Allah rewards in proportion. See? Okay. Yes.
I had a question about prayers, right? Now,
Wait. Let me finish this.
Okay, no problem.
Because if we go too far off the subject, it'll be 6 months before I finish giving you this subject. It's a long subject. I'm going to stop soon. If you add as many rakats to a salah as is required for the salah itself, your salah will not be accepted. It will be invalid. What are they saying? How many rakah in Maghrib?
3.
If you add 6, what happens? How many rakah in Fajr or Subh?
2.
If you add 2 more, it would be how many?
4.
Would the prayer be valid? Invalid. So you got the idea? So, in your forgetfulness, if you are making a prayer that requires 4 rakah and you make 8, your prayer automatically becomes invalid. Why, you think? I'll tell you. I don't want you to guess. The reason is because your concentration is a problem with your concentration, that you are not concentrating on your prayer. Because to make 8 rakah for a prayer that has 4 is too much. That's too much. You following it now? That's too much. And the prayer would become invalid. So, keep these things in your mind. I'm going to stop this part of the subject here. I have to go inside my office with Abdul Adul shortly. And he's made a request for me from a few days now. And I don't want to give you too much at one time of this type of information, because what happens is your mind becomes so clogged with all the stuff, and then, you know, trying to put more in, it becomes even more difficult to remember what you've already learned. So try and work on these things that I've been talking to you about today. Try to administer those to your prayer immediately if you have the ability. Every now and then in the course of your day, or in the evening time, it's good if you go over your lesson and try to keep it in your mind fresh. You know, even me, after 30 years teaching these subjects, some nights I have to sit down, I take out my books again, I go over it all over. You never give up on your learning. You have to keep working at it and keep trying to perfect it until, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us back to Him. You never got it. One of the lessons of the scholars is that you always have a thirst to learn more. You always have the desire to perfect yourself, to be better than you are. And you must keep working at it. It doesn't happen just by you wanting it to happen. You have to actually put in that work. You see? So when you come to the conclusion that I got it, that I'm good now, you're far away from the right place. See? Whenever you think, I know it, I got it, I'm good, you're far away from the right place. Because Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he considered what's called Jihadul Akbar, the biggest of the jihads. What he meant by Jihadul Akbar is the fight you make with yourself on a continuous basis to try to get better, to do better, to protect yourself from the badness, to do good, to learn more, to practice better. All of these things are considered as the great jihad, the biggest one. The biggest one is not against the enemy, it's against yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. You have to ask me something else before I can stop this class now? Yes.
My only question was, say that you're trying to make up prayers that you've missed before, and you're making your 5 obligatory prayers through the day. Is it okay, like, say if you was to wake up in the middle of the night and you go to make prayers, is it okay to make up prayers?
Not only is it okay, it's advisable.
I mean, like, to make all 5.
Absolutely. But don't get in the habit of delaying your daily prayers.
Not delaying the day, but just to make up.
Okay. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. I watch you, right? I watch all of you. Because, one of the things they teach us is that when you're talking to people, you want to see how much is going in. And, they have things you can tell by your eyes, your body postures, different things like that. Assalamu alaikum. So, you're a really good student. You went to college?
Yes.
You're a really good student. So, what it is, the reason I'm telling you that is so that you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you some type of an ability that if you keep working at it, you can be useful to the ummah, to the other people, because they can learn from you later. You understand? But first you have to learn. You're doing exactly the right thing, and you ask very good questions. Very good questions. Because when you ask questions, I see the light comes on in other people's face. They say, oh, yeah, I was thinking about that too. I'm glad he asked that. So that's very, very good. And let me tell you something else. Once a brother told the Sheikh, he said, oh, Sheikh, excuse me for asking this. This is kind of a stupid question. He said, oh, no such thing. No such thing as a stupid question. See? The Prophet ﷺ never said to nobody, that's a stupid question. Never. See? And he always took the time. Whenever somebody tried to talk to him about anything, he took the time to understand what they were trying to tell him and to give them as best advice about that thing as he possibly could. Always had time and patience with the people, and he was humble with the people, and he never ran them away from, you understand? So I think you're doing very good, very well. And I hope that you keep coming and taking this information, all of you. Take this information, and then you don't have to become a scholar to teach it to the people who want to know. Like, let's say you go home, and somebody says to you, I see you keep going to that class on Sundays. What did you learn there? Then you can stop. You can say, well, I learned this. The things that you know, that you remember, you can look in your book. You say, yeah, Shaykh Ameen taught us this. That's good. You don't have to become ulama to do that. Following me? Okay. Yes, I'll come to you next. Yes.
I was thinking about, like, when you thinking too much in your prayer, does that invalidate it, or do you have to make
what do you mean, thinking about what?
Like stuff besides the salat.
Then you are losing the value of your prayer. It doesn't invalidate the prayer like per se, Like you can't say, well, that prayer is invalid because I was thinking about I got to go to the grocery store after the prayer. No. But what it does is, there's some hadiths that say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the value of, you know, what you do in your prayer. So what they mean is that every time you take your mind away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you lose something in the prayer. Because the prayer is solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see? So if your mind is wandering this place, this place, then you're losing the full value of your prayer. You should try and keep your concentration on what you're saying in your prayer. This is how you keep your concentration. The surahs that you say from the Quran in your prayer, you want to know what they mean. That means that if you're going to use them in your prayer sort of constantly, then look in the Quran, because you're not Arabic speaking people, you know, while you're learning to become Arabic speaking people. In the meantime, look at what the English says that this ayah means. Keep that in your mind, so as you're reciting the ayah, you know what you're saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you do that, your mind will stay focused on what you're doing in your prayer. See? It won't give you the ability for your mind to be wandering way over here, over there. So my advice to you is always try to know what you're saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to know what that means. You know? When you say Allahu Akbar, you want to know what that means, so that as you're saying it and your mind is in tune with what you're saying, it will keep you focused in your prayer. Yes. Who is next? Yes. I'm coming to you.
I wasn't exactly sure.
Say it again.
When I first took the shot, I wasn't exactly sure how to pray, how the rakats would go. I was kind of confused about the rakats. And I actually did that. I added 2 more rakats so do I have to go back and do those?
Don't worry about that. Because when you first take your shahada, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affords you all kinds of mercy. He lets you, when you're making your prayer, when you first take your shahada, and you're a non-Arabic speaking person especially, He allows you to say, oh Allah, please accept my prayer. Oh Allah, forgive me, have mercy on me. Oh Allah, thank you for letting me be a Muslim. You don't even know how to say Al-Fatiha yet. See? All you know is the way the postures look. So if somebody's looking at it from the outside, you're making your prayer. But Allah knows you don't really understand. Yes.
The same thing when I first came out, I took the weekend off for prayers. I was like, I was going to pray on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't pray on Saturday and Sunday. And then I found out, I got to pray.
How many Saturdays and Sundays did you do that?
Just one Saturday and Sunday.
Make those up. Make those up. Okay? Make those up. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Yes.
What mistake required to make the Sujood Al-Sahw after the Sunnah?
There's no Sujood Al-Sahw for Sujood Al-Sahw. That's what you're asking me.
No, I'm saying after you make the Sunnah, and then you make the Sujood Al-Sahw, what mistakes require you to make them?
What makes you have to make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams? Adding to the prayer. Yes. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. When you add to the prayer, I told you from the beginning of this lesson, sometimes you're going to make Sujood Al-Sahw before salams. That comes from omitting Sunnah Muakkadah, a major Sunnah of the prayer. If you omit Sunnah Muakkadah, or if you omit 2 Sunnah Kafifa, 2 minor Sunnah, you must make Sujood Al-Sahw before salam. If you add to the prayer something that, extra, you will make Sujood Al-Sahw after salams. Okay? If you add and subtract something in your prayer, you will make Sujood Al-Sahw before salam. Now what happens if you miss a fard? You have to fix the fard itself. Sujood Al-Sahw does not replace a fard in the Madhab of Imam Malik. Okay?
Can you give an example of that?
An example of the fard?
Yes.
A fard is, to say it was called Takbiratul Ihram. It means the first time you say Allahu Akbar. Another fard is to say Al-Fatiha. Another fard is all of the prostrations of the prayer. To say ruku is fard. To stand from ruku is fard. To make sujood is fard. All of these fards must be done in your prayer. Sujood Al-Sahw does not replace missing fard. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to fix the fard. It's a process. And this is what this Sujood Al-Sahw is all about. How to patch your prayer when you make a mistake. And the fuqaha say the patch prayer is more valuable than a prayer that has no mistakes in it. Why? Because the lessons that you have to learn and the time that you have to spend to learn how to do it properly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards for that multiple. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam considered being a student or a teacher are the major things that a person should be. A student or a teacher. And when asked about that, he said he was a student of Gabriel and a teacher of the rest of the people. So this is his way. And I advise that we should try our best to accommodate, to accomplish what the Prophet ﷺ left for us by learning it and putting it into practice. He once said that he most felt sorry for people who were doing wrong while they thought they were doing right. And you know, in today's time, we find that a lot. Because a lot of times people think there is an abbreviation, an abbreviated Islam. It's like you can become a scholar of Islam by reading a book and not having to actually put in the work and put in the time and go and sit down and study and learn and listen and talk. You know, there is no method in Islam that allows that to happen. You know. So unless a person actually is trying to learn, like let's say we have a great Imam here, Imam Saad, you know, Sheikh Saad. So, you know, every time I get a chance, I'm going to go and sit down with Sheikh Saad and I'm going to ask him some information. You know, I'm not going to sit and say, oh, I know something. Who cares about what I think? I want to know more about what he knows, so that I can include that. Assalamu alaikum. So that I can include that in my knowledge bank and put into practice also, if I can. You see, so always feel that, you know, we have to learn more, and we have to try harder, because when a person thinks that they have accomplished all of that and they don't have to learn or try more, they are on the wrong sirah. They're on the wrong path, because this is a way of alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a way of being lax in your Islam and a way of being arrogant person, that you don't need to learn from anyone, that I know everything, I know already, I don't have to take lessons. So what happens? Many times these people are people who think they know something that they don't know, and then they put it in, they're practicing that, and other people see them practicing that, and then they start to practice that for them. And so now these people are considered as people who have introduced things into Islam that they're going to be responsible for when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the example of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is to first be a student and learn, and then be a teacher, not to read a book or automatically. Imam Shafi rahmatullahi say about people who take the book and they think they have become a scholar. He said the people who study and learn from themselves from the book have missed learning. They have missed learning altogether. Why? Because your mind is only able to discern what you know already in your mind, or what you understand in your mind. So if you ask yourself a question and you give yourself an answer, do you understand? You've missed the learning. You must have someone that you can go back and forth with. They can introduce some information to you, give you some explanation of that information. You ask them some questions, they answer you, and you will find when that happens, you will say, I never thought of that. This is learning. You see? Okay, yes. I'll take one more question.
How do you
Azan.
have
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Let's wait. Okay. Go. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah allow you to put this into practice. Assalamu alaikum.
do you have to go to sleep for it to be Hajj prayer?
Tahajjud actually means to wake from sleep. Actually, it means to wake from sleep. This is like a Sunnah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that, he would rest a little bit, then he would wake up, he would pray a lot. So this is what it means. But in order for those rak'ah of tahajjud to be rak'ah for tahajjud, you don't have to sleep. It's considered as the method is to sleep some and then to wake up. But if you just make the rak'ah and you didn't sleep, you will get the value of the rak'ah. Yes.
I believe it's like some Madhab that says that the night prayers actually start right after you pray Isha. What is Imam Malik agree with that?
Actually, the nighttime by Islam starts at Maghrib. The nighttime starts at Maghrib. The prayers that come after Isha, the nafilas and the sunnahs and like that, the tahajjud, they are considered as, the night prayers, yes. But nighttime by Islam starts at Maghrib time. This is why during Ramadan, when the Maghrib comes and you break your fasting, because the day is done. You understand? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Allahumma yasaluka min kulli khairin salaka minhu Muhammadan nabiyuka sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وأعوذ بك من كل شر نستغفر منه محمد نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما لنا وما أتعن به من أربانة في الدنيا حسن وفي الآخرة حسن وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الماء والممات ومن فتنة القبر ومن فتنة مصير الجار ومن عذاب النار رسول المصير وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Thank you for coming to visit with me. And don't forget to practice your lessons. When you get up from here, make sure you straighten up everything. I don't want to see nothing, paper or nothing in the mosque. Put everything away and don't go into small circles and talk with each other. This is not liked in Islam. When you finish this lesson, get ready for your prayers. Be quiet. Don't have talks that don't belong in the masjid. Talks that don't belong in the masjid are talks that are not talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not talking about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, not talking about some branch of Islamic knowledge. And these talks, if there's something else, go outside and have that talk. Okay? They don't belong in the masjid. Okay? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alaikum salam. Okay, make sure now, straighten up everything.